Hi and welcome to your teacher training. We are looking at report writing. What I wanted to do was walk you through just a few examples of how do we language those challenging areas. Now this can be really tricky, and what you want to say, you want to be able to put into, I guess, a structure that is going to land well with the teacher, with the parent, and land well with the student. Now there's a real art in how you navigate this area, and the ability to be able to articulate it can take some time to do. So that's what this is why I'm putting together this module, and I've got a few examples that we're going to walk through. So what I wanted to do was, when we're talking about students that have got perhaps an element or a skill or a lack of skill, or they've got something like, and this is not anything against, I was the world's biggest chatterbox. I lacked focus, concentration. I'm slowly learning that I may have had ADHD and may still have it. And being able to express that and put it in a way, and the only reason you need to do that is because parents and students have the right to understand why perhaps they're not reaching their full potential. And you ethically have a responsibility to mention it to them. And I always use this opportunity because you've got your general statement and you have your statements of achievements, and then you have the stretch. This is where the stretch comes in. And I always relate it to an area where perhaps they've got some challenges that they're facing, and here's what I suggest to really solve that issue, or what you would encourage them to do. And I use those words, those exact words. Let's have a little look through and pull apart a few. So these are completely made up. Melanie needs to do more home reading and complete homework. I know that this comment particular, the whole debate with homework comes up, and I am a believer in homework, but, and I say this with a but, my pedagogy, my skills, knowledge and experience working with children with special needs, I am at the moment working with an amazing student who is 22. She's actually gone through the entire school system, and she has an intellectual disability. No one taught her to read. She never found a teacher that could meet her needs. That is until I came along, and I worked and worked and worked to find what worked with her, changed my strategies, applied the knowledge. And it's been that consistency and building that neuro pathway between the information and what you need to learn so they can feel articulate and confident with their peers. Now, with the learning goals that I'm working with that student, obviously it's to be articulate and feel confident with things that they're going to be doing, because they're obviously in an adult world. Now, with students, I believe homework is work that can be consolidated at home. They actually enjoy doing it, or there is a benefit for them doing it. It is not something, and I make this very clear to all parents, if you are having to teach them a concept, no. If you are monitoring the work and having a chat around them, and there is an expectation as part of the learning, which I have set as a teacher with our classroom culture, we've got passion projects we work on. We want to set a work ethic where sometimes the jobs that you do end up with, you do hard work after. And there is the life learning of sometimes there's the stuff we've got to do that we don't always like. However, it's not to cause disruption, fighting, and if there any of those issues come up, the parents know they come and have a chat with me, and then it's my responsibility to have that discussion with the students. Now, when it comes to homework, it's going to be work that's got to be work they can do on their own. They articulate it, they do it on their own. It's something like parents can say, have you got homework? Yep, come over. Do you know what you've got to do? The answer should be yes. That's all on me. So I'm not just, yes, do homework, just so I get that out of the way. And I show you how to set that all up in the Ultimate Mentorship program. So if you're watching this as part of a video, go to the homework section. If you're watching this as part of, I might have thrown this in our group just for a bit of help and support, how to navigate them or understand the importance of mentioning giving them a stretch inside your report. The components about the homework is in the Ultimate Mentorship program, or you might be watching this as part of the mentorship program. So go ahead and jump over, which I think I just said first. There we go. There's my brain injury playing up. I love it. Okay, so Melanie needs to do more home reading and complete homework. Now, there's a way that you can structure this, and the importance of language of how this would land. This first sentence, Melanie needs to do more homework. This is putting the full responsibility on the parent. Does she need, and I've got here, more opportunity to read? Yep, Melanie would benefit from more opportunities to read. Am I doing that at school? 100%. And am I going to be able to prove that fact at school? Absolutely. So where else does that, and we're relying on assumptions here for them to interpret, okay, so she would benefit from more if they chose to do that. That's it. And she would benefit if she completed homework tasks. Now that is based on my homework policy, which I say, when I meet my students' parents, this is work that they complete on their own. Okay. So if the parent can provide the opportunities, it's going to be of benefit. That's the idea with that one. And that's a really good one. You can really put a few different, areas in there. It doesn't have to be about homework or reading. You can, put things like concentration, motivation, more effort or attention to that sort of stuff. So we've got another one here. So this is talking about structure. So this is how to structure the wording. Karen is easily distracted and needs to concentrate more. So this is just about applying themselves more. Now, with support to maintain on task. So with support, that means I am helping her. I'm giving her direction. I am prompting her. I'm on top of her. I'm giving her the scaffold. I'm giving her strategies. With support to maintain on task and develop her concentration skills, which means they're not developed, Karen can achieve more sound, better results, great results, sound results, whatever you want to put at the end of that. So we're saying the same thing, but we've structured it differently. Yeah? Simple changes to statements. Jeffrey lacks motivation and focus during class. Now, this is going to be so many students. The year we've had has been crazy, but, in secondary, you'll see this a lot. You'll get just a lot of students that are not interested in school. That's how we are. What I perceive as my job is to trigger the interest and make the connections. Yeah. So when Jeffrey connects, because there's no doubt I would have at least attempted to try and connect and find out. When you've got a student that's bumping heads with you and not focusing, they've got distracting strategies that they're using, they're not staying on task, then obviously you then start going to, and I hope if you aren't aware of different strategies to go to, again, inside the mentoring program, you'll see that, how to build rapport. I'm almost finished my massive mindset, my massive masterclass with behavior management, which I think beginning teachers are going to love, all about classroom culture. And so it's going to capture all these students that are falling into an area where you've obviously got your curriculum, but they're lacking motivation, focus, attention, and you'll be able to instill and use these different strategies, and you'll have like your go-to. It's going to be like a library, but it's also a program to walk you through. You'll be able to apply some of the stuff to your own life. Through my own training experience, I invested, thousands of dollars in my latest training and study I've done, and it's just been the bomb. It really has been. So I can't wait to be able to transfer that all over and tweak it into like the teacher content or teacher relatable content, because it was not delivered in relation to being a teacher. But I can definitely see the connections and how cool it will be inside as a classroom. And really minimize managing behavior where students are managing and checking themselves. So when Jeffrey connects with learning tasks, and whether he has lacked motivation 9 times out of 10, and there has been one time where he is connected with the learning, his focus and attention tends to be of a great standard. Okay, when we say tens, so it might be 2 out of 10 times he's actually focused. One of them's been pretty good. Yeah, I encourage him to practice applying this to all tasks to reach his full potential. In other words, he has got the ability to get this, but it's really on him. This is a great secondary comment. Okay, here we go. Accountability in report writing. So what is really important is when you've been trying so many different things, and this is where sometimes a lot of parents can get defensive sometime when their child's not applying themselves, they're not achieving. And, when you're having those parent-teacher interviews and they're like, hey, like, I don't think, they don't do this at home, or, you think, well, hang on, I've been trying a lot of stuff. And you know what? Use these reports as an area for you to say, no, this is it. And then it gets consolidated and reiterated and laid upon in the parent-teacher interviews. But you need to be able to express that. And remember my number 1 golden rule, never raise something in a report that you have not mentioned with the parent or student beforehand, whether it's an email or just, there has to be prior communication. Has to be. You cannot bring it up in a report. It just does not look good professionally. Okay. So Lorraine is struggling to follow instructions during class, a typical or something that you'll see quite a lot. Lorraine finds it difficult to follow instructions and classroom procedures, which is affecting her learning capabilities. It's affecting her ability to learn, and capabilities is what she's capable of. I encourage her, so that word encourage, I encourage her to rely on and this is where you've already got, okay, this is the accountability part. I encourage her to rely on the consistent learning routine. Something I'm teaching you in the Ultimate Mentorship program, consistent learning framework, how you open, how you go through, how you monitor, how you collect information, prior knowledge, assess, move through the group activity, whole class activity, report the information, doing feedback, all the stuff, that 4-step framework that I get you to do. This is why I have a routine, and it's consistent no matter what I'm teaching. You can use it to teach absolutely anything, all over there waiting for in the mentorship program. So you can say we have a consistent routine. And the reason I do is to make, and this is the reason I do say it over there, they need to be able to successfully predict what's going to happen in the next task. This is going to minimize students getting distracted. You're going to be able to keep them on task. You're going to foster independent students. You're going to develop students' independency. You're going to have students successfully predict what's going on. When they can do that, do you know what happens? Their trust in you goes up. They can rely on you. They value you. You value them because they are understanding what's going on next. They can see that you value them. Again, you're building rapport, you're building trust. And this is what the program that I'm going to be teaching you is all about with the classroom culture. But in relation to the teaching framework, it's already all over there for you. So I encourage her to rely on the consistent learning routine to foster her prediction skills, and the verbal communication and numbers strategies currently in place, something that you have done continually that she has access to assist her developing these skills. So you provided the accountability. This is what's been going on. You've already dealt with them, and this is what you are encouraging her to do. Now, in this situation, if I have students and how I support students with auditory processing, which is sometimes when students are hearing things and not hearing them in order. My daughter has a few of these issues herself. And so the strategies around this is when you are doing your instructions, I get them to repeat them back to me. I will get them to be numbered. And then I will often be like, right, if students that want to go ahead can, everyone else that wants to follow on goes with me. So step 1, we're doing this, step 2. And so you're not stopping any students that want to go on and work with themselves, whether you allocate this inside of a class or whether your students are old enough in secondary, of course they are, right, step 1, we're doing this, step 2, we're doing this, and they might get some support off the board or the whiteboard or in an area where you're providing that extra learning opportunity and extra learning support, that you'll be doing that. But yeah, so keep your lessons predictable. That's going to help with auditory processing. And then also you've got your verbal confirmation. So right, who can tell me what was the first thing we're doing? That's your verbal confirmation and your numbering strategies all in one. 2 more, here we go. So stretches are extremely important. Stretches are important. So what you want to do in your report writing, and I walk you through the 4 different steps. This 3rd step is where your stretches are. Okay, this is probably one of the most important things that you can leave with your student. And the reason I say that is because your students will know that you get them. They will know that you've taken the time. The parents will see you've taken the time to go, you know what, this is where you've got a little bit of a gap still in the learning. And this is how I really recommend that you can solve and really stretch yourself and get there. And I believe in you. Okay. And sometimes I even say that when the students are old enough, like, I've done all your reports today and I've had to do stretches. We always talk about, praising and stretching and what's 2 things we've enjoyed and a stretch. And the stretch is always that thing that we know we need to improve. So this is not language that they're unaware of. This is something I'm quite clear of when I have my parent teacher nights, again, going to be over in the Ultimate Teacher Mentorship program. So if you are starting out first year in 2021, or even if you're watching this video and it's past there, go and check it out. Everything that you're going to need to feel confident. Like, my aim is to reduce your stress and help you to rock as a teacher. The amount of support that's missing for you guys, it is, I keep saying it, it's nuts. It's nuts. Every other industry has a mentoring program. They have an induction program. And then the very thing that we are taught to close the gap in learning for students, it's not actually done for us. It's crazy. But getting back to this stretching here, when you can put it in writing, it's something that they're going to be keeping for life, obviously. But the fact that you can provide a stretch, it's going to be great for the teacher next year because they will be going over reports. It's something I do encourage to try and get access to reports from last year when you are putting together in the first or you're wanting to get some information, put some background history together with your students, if you can access the reports from last year, that's going to be a really good strategy for you to be able to use to get an idea of what your students are like. And, you know, if we just go through this one right here, you'll be able to see just the importance of a stretch. Rutherford finds it difficult. Rutherford, God, I come up with some fun names. Rutherford finds it difficult to remain focused and distracts others. Rutherford is navigating the challenges of remaining on task and respecting others' rights to learn. Boom. I did not have the capabilities or skills to write like this when I started teaching. So please don't expect the vocabulary, the structure, the framework to come flying out in your first few years of teaching. This is why I have this kit. So you can start where I am at now and feel confident, and it will just flow and work for you. Okay, this kit is here for you to be able to follow step by step, change it around, use it as you need to reduce your stress. To reduce your stress, increase, obviously you're going to feel more competent, and that's going to give you the confidence to teach. That's why I do what I do, and I love what I do. With prompting, he is able to apply some strategies. So he's able to apply some. So look at the words that are selected here. Some strategies to improve in this area. And I encourage him to set this as his #1 daily goal so that he can do this independently. Now, when I have students in class who are struggling and not responding very well to the prompting, and I'm having to do it too much, so much so it's really taking up a lot of the class learning, introducing personalized learning goals, which is something I do already in term 1 or when I first come into touch with the students, again, covered over in the Ultimate Mentorship program. But when you have a student that has gone to the next level of needing even more reminders, then I will have daily goals, and it's something that I have a touch point with them, and that will be in the morning session. And we will have that before we're getting settled. You know, when you're getting settled all in the morning and you're like handing in homework, this goes over here, notes on the desk, whatever your process is of a morning, whether you got them on the floor, checking in, checking out, whatever they're doing. So in that process is where I get to, right, what's your #1, what's your #1 and #2 goal? And depending on the age group, depends on how many you set, I have the goal written for them. And I often like to have whether it's like a fist pump, thumbs up, whatever it is, I allow the student to make it for them. And we have our agreement, and that's our agreement for the day. And so when it comes up, I have a term and I'll say, check yourself. Is this going towards your goal? Is this a good decision right now? Is this in alignment with your goal? And so when I do my prompting and reiterating, I'm not going over about what they're not doing. I'm actually prompting them to make a decision that's in alignment with something they've already chosen. Does that make sense? Again, I know I'm flying over it and this is totally left field from what we're actually talking about, but I wanted to give you a bit of background about how I do this thing inside. That's the same one. I was going to do a different one. Let's do a different one. Is that the same one there? Distracts others and remains focused. Let's do another one. Let's not do Rutherford. Let's do Harry is no, we don't want trying his best. We want to do something where it needs to be changed. Sorry, I had a bit of coconut on my yogurt this morning. This afternoon for lunch, and it's in my teeth. Okay, Harry is going to put challenged. We want one where perhaps he is lack of self-control. Harry lacks the ability to act responsibly. I probably won't spell it right. If you ever see any of my stuff not spelt right, it's because of my brain injury. Please, please, please tell me so I can fix it. It's definitely not intentional on my part, and it's one of my embarrassing things, but I accept it. Harry lacks the ability to act responsively. Okay, so this is something that you can write. And what you want to do is, like we said, we want to apply the stretch. We want to apply a strategy that's possibly been done inside the classroom. if it's going to come up and continually affect their learning, and the only reason we're bringing it up because it's affecting their learning, and we want to provide some encouragement and future focus in this area. Okay, you never ever ever raise a challenge without providing and backing it up with a future focus. Never ever ever. Why? Because the parents are going to come straight after you is, why isn't this, like, you know this is happening, what are you doing about it? You want to demonstrate you're doing something about it, and you want it to be transparent in the process of, this is what's going on for him. Because when a parent comes to you, you're like, why aren't they improving their marks? Why is he still struggling? Why is this going on for Harry? And you say, well, he's lacking responsibility and staying on task, and like, therefore it's just leading on to concentration. And like I said in the report, we've done this strategy, and we're doing everything to support him to make these better decisions, and it's just going to be a maturity process. And so by being consistent, it comes back to, it's the child making the choice. And even though they're a child, and they're going to grow at different rates. This is going to click differently for different kids. And so, there's also reasons behind what's going on. You might be able to then foster, a conversation. Do you know why it might be taking him a little bit longer? Or is there something going on? And it's good, well, yeah, look, he might be a bit tired, or, yeah, we're going, family just recently separated, or something's going on behind the scenes. And that's a nice way to get to it. But just to make sure and demonstrate that you are doing everything possible at school, from the best of your ability. And this is why I say, do not just pop this in a report. You need to be contacting, the parents straight up. If you've got a student that's got any issues, you need to have first point of contact in term 1. That's one of my must-dos. It's just one of those things, I guess, I've learned over the years, and you don't really get told about it. And then parents can get really upset. And now that I'm a parent, I get that, but they just don't teach you this sort of stuff at uni. Okay, Harry lacks the ability to act responsibly. To further develop Harry's sense of responsibility, his learning goals have helped him, and you want to say something so it puts it on his radar. To further develop Harry's sense of responsibility, his learning goals have helped him to, I want another word for to develop his awareness. Now, one thing that you do start learning, I guess this is more around the psychology of learning, is that no one can change anything until they have a certain awareness of it. And so when there's awareness brought to the attention, that's when you can start looking and reflecting and then taking action to change it. When somebody doesn't have any awareness of it, they can't change anything. Okay. And this is part of this learning that I've been doing for the last few years, that's going to help increase your ability to be an effective teacher, just being aware of this stuff. And again, they don't really sort of teach it in university. So let's find another word for develop. Now, this is how, because my brain is, needs support. Thesaurus, please. To help him improve his awareness. I love it. Improve his awareness. Thank you. To improve his awareness. Now you could leave it like that. And, it invites a conversation with Harry and his parents to say, hey, you've got some learning goals happening at school. Like, what's going on here? And why aren't you, with a sense of responsibility? And this is what I often encourage you to have as a value inside your classroom. Again, linked to more cultural classroom than report writing right now. But you need to, when you have your comments, be able to demonstrate situations where this is going on for Harry, and have an example of what's been going on. Now, this is what I'm talking about right now. I have got a template for all students. So you go through and you fill this out, and it's part of your parent-teacher interviews. And so you've got it there in front of you. And I find that when you're spending time writing your reports out like this, you've got this sitting right next to you. And so you're filling in the template, and you're really, instead of doubling up that time going from report writing and planning for parent teacher, you can do it at the same time, because when you do report writing, you're going to have parent teacher interviews. So what I find is, if I do this at the same time, it's halving my time, and I'm going to be able to bring up specific examples when this comes up at parent-teacher interview, because no doubt anything you bring up, the parent's going to say, hey, I want to know about it. And what you need to do is have evidence of what's going on, and then strategies that you've tried, and what you're going to be doing about it. And then also I teach you how to deal with that conflict in area. You know, inviting solutions from the parents and involving them in the process is something I talk more about in the Ultimate Mentorship program. But that's how I would put my report in for that one. So that brings us to the end. I'm going to do another video shortly about a couple of other samples over here. And I'm also working on the sample comments that I'm going to pop as a file over on a page, which I'll give the link and share it as well soon. But yeah, that's how you deal with stretches. Bye.